Thank you for joining us, Carlos Romo. I hope I pronounced that right. I have a very terrible British accent, but it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So with Jamie can't make it for this interview. He's at work today. He works at the hospital. He would like to have spoken to you, but we are big fans of yours. We actually got to see you wrestle at WrestleGate Pro in Nottingham.
There we go. That's awesome.
I think it was early last year or the year before. Absolutely fantastic match. I think it was the OJMO you was against.
I think could it have been? I think I did two. Well, OJMO I think was actually Frontline, but we did a 3-way for WrestleGate. I think it was.
That's right.
It was OJMO and Mao. Could it be?
Yeah, OJMO and Mao. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was the number one contendership match. Yeah.
That was fantastic so much fun. Match. That was so much fun. Like, I've never seen that match back, and I really want to because I remember like leaving it and being like, I just had so much fun there.
Yeah, man. You could tell you was having fun because it's one of those shows where every match was just incredible. Like, you know, at the end of a show, you can usually say, oh, that was my favorite match.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows where every match was good.
That's great.
What was it like for you wrestling at WrestleGate? I know you're no stranger to the UK scene. You've wrestled Rev Pro numerous times.
Yep.
You're quite a well-known name there. What's it like for you wrestling in the UK? Do you always find it a fun experience?
Yeah, I really like it. At first, it was a shock because wrestling in Spain and wrestling in the UK were so much different. They're still very different, but at first they were like worlds apart. So when I first got to the UK, like seeing people appreciate like technical stuff, and you could tell like the crowd was like literate in wrestling, so they knew what they were seeing and they knew like how things worked and what they reacted to, and they understood like wrestling as we understand it.
Yeah.
Whereas in Spain, for example, there would be a time in Spain where if you did technical stuff for more than a minute without doing a flip or anything super fancy, they would literally boo you.
Right.
And they like, you'd see things in Spain like a couple years ago, maybe where like someone would end up in like in a standoff and nobody would clap, or maybe 2 or 3 would clap, or da-da-da. Those little things that you can tell from a crowd that's like educated in that, and a crowd that's just learning in the process. But yeah, it's always so much fun. Like the crowd is always it's just very grateful, and you can tell like it's a hobby that's like a part of the culture. Whereas here it could have been like, okay, yeah, that's what we do one Saturday a month.
Yeah, I get you. So there is a difference right now between the scene in Spain, for example, and the scene in the UK. The difference is that the fans expect different things from the match, I imagine.
I think it was more like that maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's now gravitating towards the kind of fan that is in the UK and maybe everywhere else in the world. Obviously, there's still differences. And you can tell like some of the crowd in Spain have gone completely the other way from they didn't know what to expect to they've known what to expect, and that bores them now. But it's fun. It's fun to be able to realize that and challenge yourself to give them things that excite them. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get over to Spain at some point. I know it's impossible at the moment. I've been to Spain a few times, but never seen any wrestling there. I know it's still quite not a new thing in Spain, but it's a new scene in Spain. Like in the UK, for example, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we didn't really have a wrestling scene. We had like 2 promotions, 3 promotions, and that was it. Yeah. And that's how most of the scenes start out internationally. And hopefully for you in Spain, like within 5 years' time, you're going to have that same thing. You'll have a boom period, and everyone will be talking about the Spanish wrestling scene. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
But it's not just Europe you're known for. I mean, we work quite closely with Black Label Pro, Warrior Wrestling, and Freelance, and you've wrestled for all of those companies.
Yes.
I mean, you've made a name for yourself in the States as well. What's it been like wrestling in the States?
Well, it's been amazing. I really like wrestling in the States. I've like 2000. I was gonna say last year, but 2019 actually. Yeah. I went 4 times to the States. In 2020, I was scheduled to go Mania weekend, and then I was probably going to end up going maybe a couple times more. But yeah, it's great. I really, really like it. Really, really enjoy it. I feel there's like a lot of new people to wrestle, a lot of new people for them to see me, a lot of new companies and a lot of new crowds to win over and just know how things are differently in different places. So yeah, it's like a really fun experience every time I've been there, and everybody's been like lovely and wonderful to me every time I've been there. They've really taken care of me. So
Yeah.
it's like a mix of everything just goes well. And then like whenever I go, I usually have like some really cool matches. Like the times I've been there, we wrestled Lucha Bros, and it was like so much fun for Warrior. And then for Warrior, we wrestled for the X Division title. It was Ace Austin, Blake Christian, and me. I wrestled Tony Deppen for Beyond, and it was a real cool match too. I wrestled Utah, a Black Label Pro, and I did wrestle a four-way with Warhorse, Standard Dad, and Johnny Fleisch, which I had never wrestled in the UK, and we ended up wrestling in a gym in Chicago. A Freelance, I wrestled Pat Monix, and it was super fun. Project Monix, sorry, it was super fun too. So I ended up having like a few of them, like some of my best matches I've had over there in the
For sure,
very few times I've been.
Yeah, we spoke to Steve, the promoter of Warrior Wrestling, just after Warrior Wrestling 7, and we brought up the X Division title match with yourself, Ace Austin, and Blake Christian, and he had nothing but nice things to say about you. He loved that match. I'm sure you're somebody he wants to get over again as soon as the world opens up. That would be brilliant. Is that somewhere you want to go back to then? Like as soon as you can, you want to go back to America, finish making your name for yourself in America? Because let's face it, in 2019, you wrestled for a lot of the major independents, and it seems like you were just getting the ball rolling in America. Yeah. And I've got no doubt when you can, you'll be back over there making a name for yourself. But where does that lay on your priorities list? Is that somewhere you want to get back to as soon as you can?
Yes, but the thing is, with every time we travel into America, even if it's as soon as I can, I always want to make it work schedule-wise.
Yeah.
So it can be my top priority and happen like 5 months after the world opens.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like that. But yeah, whenever I go to the States, I try to plan it in a way that like it doesn't interfere with any big shows that I have here, or I can go for like a week, or I can like maybe do a weekend of shows and then explore the city for 3 days, or I can find cheap flights, like a time with cheap flights and some shows, so we can make it work for both the promoters and myself. I'm always like very conscious about that. So it's really high in my priority list. Like, I had Mania weekend planned, and it looked amazing. It looked like with so many cool matches that I would have had.
Yeah.
And many opportunities, many eyes on me, and obviously that never happened. So yeah, I really want to keep that going. As he said, I had a good 2019 over there, and I won. I think like people were like, every time I went there, some more eyes opened to me, and some more people discovered me. And obviously, there's many opportunities in the United States right now. So yeah, it's really high on my priority list, but it's all gonna depend on scheduling wise, like when it works best for me to maybe go there and spend 1 week, 2 weeks, or maybe just a weekend, but a very loaded weekend.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. So it's more to do with how much you can do or what you can do when you go over, opposed to, no matter how high it is on your priority list, no matter how much you want to go, it's got to be, when you go over there, you want to make an impact, you want to make a name for yourself. Makes sense.
And make it work for all parties.
That's right, yeah. And I feel like you're a name that I've known for quite a while, especially going back to your tag team with AKid. We had the chance to speak to AKid a couple of months ago. Such a nice guy, incredibly talented. But you're one of the most talented tag teams I've seen in that sense. Like, you usually get that tag team where one of them is, like, you can say one of them is the better talent, or, you and AKid are just exceptional. Like,
thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I feel like you're both going to do well for yourself regardless. But what was it like teaming with AKid? Do you feel like you complemented each of his styles?
It was, to be honest, there's many stages I've gone through and we've been through in that tag team. Because at first it was just finding the chemistry with each other. Because when we started teaming with each other, we were actually feuding in Spain. So we came to the UK for the first time, and we went to the UK, we went to Ireland, and they just had like, oh, it's Spanish guys, let's just make them a tag team. So we were actually feuding in Spain. We had never wrestled with each other, and we had just wrestled each other like once. So at first it was just finding our steps as tag team. Then I think we forced each other to complement each other. Like, for example, I really love doing technical stuff and mud stuff and maybe a bit of grappling, and I like more like lucha submissions and just doing a mix of all of that. But because he's so proficient in the mat, I used to leave that stuff to him and focus on other stuff and go maybe do the more of like high paced, maybe a bit more impact or high flying at times. But I really want to do that, and I like that. I would just usually leave it to him, and unless like it fit in the match for me to do some bits. So and then also when we were actually getting like knowing how to wrestle as a tag team, and like knowing how to make the most of the things we did and the things people did to us, that's when we were just like feeling that we were getting every match we were doing was a good match. It was when it was time for us to split up. So I think like we never really got to reach our full potential.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe hopefully someday we can just wrestle again. It doesn't necessarily need to be like an ongoing thing, which it could be, but I would love to like seeing the wrestlers we are now. Like the wrestlers, I know the wrestlers we were when we were teaming, and the wrestlers we are now, and we're so much better each, like both of us. So it'd be great to just do it maybe once again.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. Do you think your paths will cross again? I know it's a hard one to answer right now because obviously AKid's NXT UK, but can you see at some point in the future, no matter how long it is, do you think your paths will cross again?
I think so. I mean, wrestling is very unpredictable nowadays. Obviously, we're both very young. He's 23, I'm 25. So, like, it doesn't necessarily need to happen anytime soon. It could be, but there's still the independence if you can do them. There's still me with the chance of going on to NXT UK, or there's like the chances of us getting together anywhere else. Like, fingers crossed, we at least have like 10, 15 more years in our careers.
Yeah, easily. So, and that's a long time in wrestling, right?
So many things could happen. So many things. So yeah, I think our paths will cross inevitably. I don't know in which way or where, but I think so.
I think as a selfish British wrestling fan, I'd love to see you in NXT UK. Just because I think there's so many good matchups there. Like, we've just had AKid versus Walter. I think you versus Walter too would be an amazing match.
I'd love that.
And, you know, I think you'd just fit in there. There's so many good, talented wrestlers there you could mix it up with. Is NXT UK a product that you enjoy? Like, from what you've seen of it, is it somewhere you'd want to go?
Yeah, it's a product I enjoy. I'll be honest with you. I rarely watch like the full show.
Yeah.
What I usually do is I pick and choose the matches I want to watch, and the matches I usually pick to watch, I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's true. I think we all do that nowadays, don't we?
To be honest, with the amount of content that there is and wrestling being on demand, it's just economics of time. It's nothing more than that. We all have lives. There's so many wrestling we all want to watch, and we just have to use our time wisely. So that makes sense. But yeah, the things I've watched, I really enjoy. I always have my door open. Obviously I did the training week with them and I did the show with them. Then I talked with them. I don't know if it was like October that year. They were doing a bunch of tryouts, but it mixed with some independent dates that I had, and I felt that I wanted to grow more as a performer if they were interested in signing me. So I talked to them and like very respectfully was like, okay, let's talk in some time if you're still interested in me doing any tryouts or interested in me in any way. But I think my way right now is traveling the world and learning from the matches and then getting that experience that, for example, AKid had with those big matches before he got signed.
Yeah.
Because in Spain, he got all those high-profile matches that I had that I still don't have in my career, or maybe I had like one, or maybe I made one of those a high-profile because of the quality of the match. So I thought it was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to do that career, do that world traveler thing, get those high profile matches, and then maybe talk. But yeah, my door is always open. I'm someone that is always willing to listen, and I think in everything you can find pros and cons.
Yeah, I think that world traveler thing is a great idea. You can get those experiences from every country you travel to, and I think it's respectable that you say you want to be the best performer you can be before you sign anywhere. That's a great idea to have. Somewhere I think you'd fit in really well is New Japan, and I'm sure that's got to be on your bucket list.
Oh, 100%.
Just to see you in like the Super Juniors or mixing it up with some of the people there. I can only imagine the matches you could have there. Is New Japan somewhere you want to go?
Oh, absolutely. You just mentioned Best Super Juniors, and that would be like a dream. Obviously, having worked with Ref Pro for so long, we've had the chance to wrestle a few New Japan wrestlers and to be like around the New Japan. Maybe it's like maybe the New Japan scene in shows and some of the New Japan people, and just seeing like the way they approach wrestling and just the quality of every wrestler. It's so good. It was like such a different experience every time we got to wrestle a New Japan wrestler. But so yeah, like doing Super Juniors would be so much fun. I mean, it's just a legendary tournament.
Yeah, a legendary tournament.
I think like every cruiserweight / junior heavyweight would want to participate in the Super Juniors.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever spoken to anybody and they've not said like, oh yeah, I don't want to wrestle Japan.
Not for me.
Everybody wants to go to New Japan. Everybody wants to be part of one of the greatest tournaments around. You know, it's been going for so long. It's got such prestige. I can only imagine like the matches you could have in New Japan. But also, like you say, you want to travel the world. I know I've already spoken about the American independents, but another place again, and this is to your credit, I feel like you could fit into many companies as an asset. But All Elite Wrestling are obviously, one of the biggest companies in North America, and they're doing a lot of work with the indies right now on AEW Dark, giving a lot of people a chance. And I dare say, if the world was open right now, they'd have reached out to you already. What would your thoughts be on working for AEW on Dark, or obviously signing with them?
I think that'd be great. I think AEW is doing a very fun product with a very like different view than other companies. So it's like it feels fresh. It's good because the world has so many products now, and they all seem so different from each other within the same thing. So it's cool. Like it's very enjoyable, and AEW is like real fun. Again, same thing. I've watched loads of the stuff they've been doing. It's amazing, and the fact that they have like AEW Dark, where they're giving the platform and opportunity to so many wrestlers they have contracted and not contracted, and I feel like it's a very good platform for both of them, for like the contracted people they have, for the company, and for the independent people to get to mix it up with those guys. For example, like in AEW, I've got two friends that just signed Top Flight.
Oh yeah.
Which like we met Airwolf at Chikara, Ray the Voladores the first time we went to the States, and from then on like we became friends. They came over to the UK for like a week or so, and they stayed at my house. And like if you've seen, for example, they've been there for maybe 2 months, and they've already wrestled Jericho, the wrestling Matt Hardy. They've been in the ring with so many talented people and people that know the stuff. Obviously the Young Bucks. You could see like they care about the young talent and they want to make them better. You can see like maybe people like Ty Conti, how she's improved in the time she's been there and stuff that people have been talking lately. So I feel like AEW for a young wrestler like me would be a great company, and I feel like they really take care of that. Sorry.
That's so true. When Top Flight first came in, obviously to a hardcore wrestling fan, you're going to be familiar with them, but you've got to remember there's millions of people maybe watching at home who aren't. And I feel like they've done such a good job of getting these young guys and making it seem like these guys are a threat straight away. These guys can beat anybody on this roster because they're such a good tag team.
Exactly.
And that's to AEW's credit. They're great at building this young talent. And you mentioned like Top Flight stayed at your house and you've wrestled in Chikara with them. Was you a fan of Chikara like in the early days, and was you a fan of the independents in the early days when you first started watching? What was it that got you into independent wrestling?
So the thing is, when I started watching wrestling, it would have been like maybe 2006. In Spain, they just started airing SmackDown. That was the only thing that aired on TV. And that's the only thing I knew in wrestling. So we just watched WWE. I watched for like 3 years, like religiously, but I only watched WWE. And then like I stopped watching for like 3-4 years, and then maybe around 2013 I came back to watching. But again, I really knew WWE, and then I knew TNA existed, but that was it. Like maybe I had watched like a couple of matches, but I didn't know much more because in Spain it was like either the very mainstream, or if you had friends that knew stuff, you could learn from them. But I just never had like a way to find out about more. And then I started training, and then all these people told me, yeah, so there's like these things and these things. And like I remember we would watch like PWG at training because we used to have a TV. So we would do like a morning session, then we had lunch there, and then we'd do an evening session. So we would like, while we had lunch, we would watch like PWG. Or then like they said they used to watch like King of Trios all the time when they went for lunch, but that was before I joined in training. But we still watch some Chikara matches from time to time. But I remember the time where I really felt, I mean, PWG really made me like independence, but the time I really fell in love with independence was like, we did one trip to the UK to train with AKid and some other friends. And that was way before we started wrestling in the UK. And he started showing me Danielson era Ring of Honor.
Oh, yes.
And I was like glued. Like I remember like just us being on like sitting in the tube on a shitty phone, super small, with our DVDs downloaded and watching like Danielson and Kenta and Danielson and Nigel and Danielson and Morishima, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? This is the best thing I've ever seen. And just going nuts at the phone. I mean, like, it just blew my mind. It was like so different from anything else I had seen. I was like, okay, this is a whole new thing. And then like seeing like that independent crowd, because you could still consider Ring of Honor independent at the time, like I'd say. And like seeing that crowd like so electric with things being so much different, it's like, oh my god, this is great. So yeah, I think like that's what made me fall in love with independent wrestling. And then obviously I started watching more and more and learning about more stuff.
I'm so glad you mentioned Ring of Honor, because that's what got me into independence too. And I feel like when you see you've been watching WWE for so long, and then you see something so different in Ring of Honor, and you're like, what is this? Why have I? Where has this been my whole life?
Yeah, exactly. Where did this come from? Like, how did I know about this?
And all you can do is watch more and more and more, and go back and watch all the matches. It's such a cool experience going from WE to Ring of Honor, because it couldn't be more different.
And seeing like, sometimes when you watch WWE and you don't know about the past, and then you go and watch the Ring of Honor, it's like, oh, all these guys came from here.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you watch NXT nowadays, it's just like watching PWG from 5 or 10 years ago.
Exactly. That's great.
So yeah, the independents are so important, even to WWE. Without the independents, they wouldn't have any of their current top stars. So hopefully the independents managed to stay strong during the pandemic. And I think that's all we can ask for. But before we wrap up, Carlos, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking with you. I've been looking forward to this one. Can't wait to see you back on the scene in the UK when the world opens up.
Can't wait to be back in the ring.
Yeah, man, I'm sure you can. Wherever that is, I'm sure you can't wait to wrestle again. But before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to promote? Any merchandise, social media?
Well, I mean, I would promote the White Wolf Wrestling School Luchorama.
Yep.
If anybody from Madrid is watching or from Spain is watching, we have training open in Madrid, so you can still join us even during this pandemic time. I have a online store, which is carlosromo.bigcartel.com, that has some t-shirts left, not many. But if you have the money or you're inclined to do so, please check it out. I'm on Twitch now too. So I'm twitch.tv Carlos Romo PW. If you want to come hang out and chat with me and play some games or just watch wrestling with me, let's do that. And I'm on socials, Twitter and Instagram, Carlos Romo PW. It's been wonderful being here with you, man. Thanks for this.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
No
This has
worries.
been Carlos Romo. We've been Ringsiders. We'll see you next time.
Take care.